Welcome back to Morning Joe. As we've mentioned this morning, President Trump spent the weekend lashing out at the media. He also lashed out at the growing list of states refusing to turn over voter data to his commission investigating allegations of voter fraud. Joining us now, NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Hallie Jackson. Hallie, good morning. Good to see you. Let's first remind all our viewers what this commission is, this panel exactly, and how it came to be.
Sure. So it's the Election Integrity Commission, Willie, and this was created after President Trump claimed, you remember several months ago, that millions of people had voted illegally. He said this without providing any evidence, without providing any backup documentation to that. It is a claim that virtually all voting experts say is simply not true. But the president created this commission to look into what he described as voter fraud. What's happening now? So that's sort of how this came about. What's happening now is you're seeing a growing number of states. By our count, nearly half of states so far, many with Democratic voting officials installed, 8 with Republican ones, saying they're not going to give some of this data because the commission, in a letter that we obtained last week, says it wants not just voter roll data, but also last 4 digits of the Social Security number, information about past convictions, dates of birth, etc. And some states are now saying, listen, we're not going to give you all of that. You can take the public stuff, but we're not going to be helping you out by providing you some of this sensitive data from people who live in our state. The pushback from the White House is that the backlash is kind of a political stunt. I talked with one White House official who said, hey, some of these states, like Indiana, for example, home of Mike Pence, who leads this Election Integrity Commission, are still going to provide, they believe, publicly available data, just not all of the data that has been requested. And one person said to me, we're still in the beginning of this process. But let me underscore something, Willie, that I think is really important that hasn't been talked about enough. When we talk to the White House about what they are doing to prevent Russian interference in the next elections in 2018 and in 2020, because remember, this has been a real question. What is the administration doing now to make sure this doesn't happen again? The White House points to this commission as one of the 2 things that they're doing. They point to this commission and then some cybersecurity orders that they signed. But the line that we've been hearing, that I've been hearing now for 2 weeks since we started investigating this, we contacted dozens of states officials all around the country who said they have heard nothing, very little from the administration on how to prevent Russian interference again or prevent any kind of election interference. And the White House points to this commission. Now you have half the states saying that they're not going to give some of the data that this commission will need to do its work. So I think that is sort of really central to this storyline, especially as we move forward, getting closer to 2018 and closer to 2020. When you talk about Russia, I can't help but think about where I'm going to be, Willie, later on in the week, which is Germany, for the G20 summit, where the president will have his first face-to-face with Vladimir Putin. Highly significant. The White House so far have been asking officials here they won't preview much of what is on the agenda. They have publicly dodged when I've asked, hey, is he going to bring up the president Russian meddling in the election with Vladimir Putin? And at this point, it is still not clear how and when and where that's going to work. It comes also as the president is tweeting about foreign policy again this morning. He's got calls, he says, with the leaders of Germany and France. He mentioned just a couple of minutes ago this call he had with the head of Saudi Arabia talking about Mideast peace. He's also talked about the growing threat from North Korea with Japan and China, 2 countries he will also meet with later this week. And you can expect the North Korean threat to be front and center, particularly with those Asian nations. Yeah, I'll stop talking now, Willie, on this holiday.
It's great information. We talk all day, but the tweet from the President Trump about Saudi Arabia reference, he said there are, quote, interesting things happening in Middle East peace. So we'll wait to see what exactly that means. All right, Hallie Jackson at the White House. Thanks so much, Hallie. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.